Good evening. It's 6:30, almost, as you know, every Monday here, 6:30, Tropical Nomad, and we're here live as usual, and we're live on Instagram, we're live on YouTube, and we're live on Facebook. So remember, the best viewing and listening experience right now is probably on YouTube. So you'll just go SpeakuP Monday, so SpeakuP, all one word, SpeakuP space, then Monday, and that's on YouTube. You'll see Robert Ian Bonnick --SpeakuP Monday, and we'll be live there right now, and you'll be able to hear and see us perfectly. Now, as you know, SpeakuP Monday is Destination Indonesia. Now, most of our stories focus on people living here in Bali, but as I mentioned, it is Destination Indonesia. So tonight is one of those wonderful evenings where we have the beautiful Dessy. Welcome, my darling. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you to invite me here.
Yeah, and in a minute we'll get on to exactly why you're here, which people are waiting for. Now, as you know, we reveal stories. So if you're overseas, for example, let's talk about Bali just for a second now. So Bali, the scene has changed. Mass tourism, like all over the world, has changed now. The model has changed. So with Bali, you know, what we're noticing here is, you know, we have this new dimension opening up. And that's to things like tech tourism, sustainability, medical health tourism now. And this is where I come in. I facilitate that migration, right? So we're talking tech tourism, that's blockchain startups, innovation, that side of it, sustainability, medical and health. And I'm known as a tourism architect. So today, it's been quite incredible, actually. We sat down for about 5 minutes before, and I didn't realize. Now, where you're from is Kalimantan, or those from outside here will know it as Borneo. Now, Borneo is the third largest island in the world, which I had no idea. In actual fact, Indonesia's got two. So that's two. So what's the other one?
The second one is Papua.
Papua?
Yeah, and Kalimantan is the third biggest island.
Yeah. So in the top three largest islands in the world, Indonesia already has two. And then I think in the top 10, Indonesia probably has 3 or 4, because then you've got the other ones, right? Amazing. And then with Kalimantan as well, what I didn't realize is that there's over, 400 different sub-tribes of Dayak as well, right?
Yes, that's right. There are 400 Dayak sub-tribes that living separately in Borneo Islands.
Yeah, phenomenal. And as you mentioned before, so what we're going to be talking about today is about the Dayak, okay? And I think our mutual friend David calls you a Dayak activist. I'm not sure how that sits with you, but growing up obviously in West Kalimantan, Dayak yourself and so on. You know, we're going to get into tonight a lot of the different. Firstly, so people can get an idea, you know, of what life is like, you know, and then you know what the place is like. And then after that, we'll probably get into, you know, what are the challenges that the Dayak people are facing, and what we can do to either to help, to support, or to become critically aware of. So look, I think that the best way to start us off is that, so you mentioned before about the Dayak being 400 different sub-tribes, and I asked you, you know, if there was a common language, and you mentioned that each one has its own culture and also its own language, but there's a beautiful way that I think brings all of you together, which is a way that you greet one another. So, are you able, maybe someone here, I know Melanie can probably understand it, but what does that greeting sound like?
Okay, actually there are 400 Dayak sub-tribes that living separately in Borneo Island with the different languages, and we have the unite greetings for all of the Dayak people. They will say these words to greetings, like to each others. Okay, maybe I will say these words. Adil Kak Talino, Bacuramin Kak Saruga, Basengat Kak Jubata, Arus, Arus, Arus. Adil Kak Talino, it means we are, as a humans, we have to be respect to each other as a humans. And Bacuramin Kak Saruga, it means like we look ourselves in the heaven, and we have to look ourselves in the mirror. what we already done in this life, and we have to look to ourselves. And basta ingat kaju bata, we always remember our creator. Everything happens in this world must be have a reason. And arus it means amen, 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 and it's gonna be everything is gonna be run like a water in the river. Yeah,
and love that. And so what I can hear is respect for one another, mutual respect. What I can hear is respect for the Creator, and we'll get into that in a minute. And what I also hear is this beautiful way to acknowledge one another as well as human beings. So if I asked you about, Dayak culture and Dayak custom, because again, we don't know, I don't know, and I'm sure many people here have no idea either. So what would you say if I asked you, Dayak culture? Can you break it down for us so we get a better idea of what that looks like and what that sounds like?
Dayak people. Okay, we are a Dayak people. Our culture actually come from the forest. Because we, our people used to live in the forest. In the past, we just live near people who live nearby the forest, and but now we already follow the modernizations also. But Dayak people is the one who really connected to the forest, and we see the forest is the life resources. And in Kalimantan, they say that Kalimantan is the lung of the world also. It's green, and yeah.
So then, to give us, which you again, I loved how you described that before. So lots of people, recognize the Amazon as being, one of the lungs of the world, but also, as you mentioned, Kalimantan, Borneo is also another lung of the planet, right? Which obviously is incredibly important. And then, we mentioned, as well that there's a deep connection between the Dayak and the land, which we refer to as the forest. And I think what we were saying earlier on was that, and this is the bit when we first met, or second time we met, kind of made me smile, right? Mm-hmm. About, how maybe in the West, we had things like refrigerators and ways and machines to make our life easier when it comes to storing food. We have this for later, I'll put this in the freezer, I can have that for lunch tomorrow, I can heat it up in the microwave, and away we go. But then, as you're mentioning earlier on, with Dayak, especially where you're from in West Kalimantan, you have a very different way to approach feeding and food and what that means for you. So maybe if you explain a little bit about that so we can understand.
Oh yeah. Maybe I will tell you, I'll forget to tell that about Dayak also. It's about togetherness also. This is kind of, especially indigenous people who really give this value togetherness, really living in and respect to each other. And I will tell you about feeding and gather the food. So based on my experience, I'm still doing this right now until now. So on the back of my house is still a forest also, and I'm still swimming in the river because I have a river on the back of my house, and we gather the food in the forest also, and it's fresh and it's really different. I'm not making the differences between city and in my village, but the reality is in my village, every morning there are some women come from the hills and then with their basket with the fresh vegetables from the forest, and if we are not lazy to go to the forest, we just get it by ourselves, and it just we can take it for free. And there are many things in the forest that you can take for food, for medicines, and yeah.
Got it. So then you've got this beautiful connection where, as you mentioned, that when it's time to eat, it's about either going to the forest and from whatever is available, whatever you catch, that then becomes what you eat, right? So there's no wastage. There's no I'll leave this for later. And as you mentioned, that whatever it is, you have this wonderful flexibility and creativity around what it is you make that into for us to eat. And which is wonderful, right? And you mentioned about how part of the custom and the culture is about this beautiful harmony of being together, and this togetherness, as you mentioned, and I think meal times are a really important time because that's when you also have the chance to cook together, to be together, to talk together, to discuss together. It's like one big family from what I can intuit, right? From what you're saying, but. What else comes up for you when I say togetherness, when I say family, when I say culture there in West Kalimantan? What else comes up for you?
So about togetherness is especially when you have like a party or like when some family face the problems. So like the people in the village, they just like directly like know what they have to do. Like they just like come together and they just like support this family like whatever they have. Like even they don't bring like anything. It's not about the material actually. Like they just like come and accompany that family and like they feel like if this family like happy, they feel this happiness, and if this family like being sad, these people also like feel they're sad, and it just like always like support each other, and we can like support people. It's not only with the materials, but only like we are with our heart, and to make this surrounding become warm and joy and yeah.
It reminds me, as a great friend, South African guy, Richard Harrington, and in South Africa, it seems like every ancient kind of culture has the same thing. In South Africa, it's Ubuntu. Right? And Ubuntu is I am you, right? Because you are me. In other words, I exist because of you, and vice versa. Whereas I think here it was a guy, Mari Janur, about that, was it Takwamasi? The giver becomes the receiver, and the receiver becomes the giver. Like, so it's and then Aboriginal culture. So you have all of these kind of ancient cultures which are connected to the land that seem to have this same vibe, the same frequency kind of running through them of togetherness. And like not competition, but co-opetition, meaning that we all kind of come together to live and to create something larger, right? Beautiful. And I guess part of culture is spiritual, right? So you got this. I think what is it here is the Trihita Karana, right? Is it the man, God, and environment? So keeping that Trihita Karana in mind, like in Kalimantan or West Kalimantan, where you're from. So is there anything similar to that which kind of underpins how everybody lives, or is there something else?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, that our culture also like come from the forest also, right? And come from the nature actually. And the most important thing also for our people, like being together and support each other. And like we see forest, nature is like it's not just like forest. It's not like just nature, but it's our life resources. And we believe that like forests have like a spirit. That's why like mostly our people, they do like rituals in the forest. Because in the forest, like there are many things like depends their life in the forest, like birth, and like the animals, like orangutan in there, they are live and get their needs also in there. That's their home, and so many like spirit that and energy that live in the forest. And our people also like it's really like connected. Like Trihita Karana is actually the connection like between human with the nature and human with the with God, and also and it's the same actually. We have to be like connected like between people with their creator, and creator give them like their life resources. What is it called? Forest, and that's why we have to. What is it? It's really like connected. You know what I mean? Yeah, between like human and then God and your creator. Your creator give you like life resources. Then you have to be thankful to your creator, and you have to be what is it called? To be the way you thankful to your creator is to keep what he creates for you.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that's that connection with nature, as you mentioned. And then, there's a few questions that come up. One is, because you have, and I think when we first met, the second time we met, what I love about you is that you're like a bridge, right? So, as I'm a bridge, as many of us here are bridges as well in our own way. But what comes up for you when you're West Kalimantan, living in the forest, then you come here to Bali, or to another part of Indonesia, maybe Jakarta or somewhere, and then you look at how everyone is behaving, right? How everyone is living their life. Like I'm trying not to guide you too much here, right? So, like, what comes up for you? What differences do you see? And what do you feel about those differences?
Yeah, about the differences, like I'm trying like to be like adapt in everywhere I come, and I understand and I accept all of the differences, because I cannot like force people to do like the same things like me. Also like even me, I cannot do like the same things also like you, like in the city, and I try to force like people also like in the city to do like the same things, like living in the forest and like gather the food in the forest, because we have our own ways. And but what is it called? What I see from the differences between like city and my villages, there is a differences, of course, because like in the village, mostly like people like working together, like really just working together. But in the cities, I think it's mostly like what is it called?
More like people working for themselves.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Let's say,
a little bit more selfish, not maybe so about us. It's more about me. not meaning to lead you at all. At all. I mean, there's no leading going on here. Purely objective.
Yeah. So that's what I see like from the differences, and the way of life also, like the way of life. And maybe like people in the city is not used to live like without light and stuff like that. But in many villages in Kalimantan, we still like it's like a normal things, no light, and something like that. And but I cannot force like people to live like in that way. So we have our own what is it called, like perspective and way of life. But how we must be accept like this kind of life and thing.
Got it. And look, pretty soon we've got this beautiful woman, Melanie, who's been a quite amazing person, because having a very strong life in the West, big successful person, then also came out through a mutual friend of ours, David, and basically came out and stayed with the Dayak for some period of time. So it'd be interesting getting her perspective on the differences between, this world of business and success and chasing it and hustle and getting it happening into this life of living more in line with nature and the forest and taking what we need, nothing more, working together, not against one another. So this would be interesting to ask her the same question. So, I mean, what comes up as well, Dessy, is that, so you have this very calm way about you, right? So you give me the sense that anything could be happening out there, but you would just remain like calm. Right? Just calm. So like, and whatever comes up first, right? So you don't need to filter this, right? So if I said to you, Dessy, like, what was the last thing, or what do you find extremely challenging? What comes up?
The first thing is like must be modernizations, but I don't say we don't need like modernizations. I don't want like modernizations. We cannot say that because we already in that situations. But the problem is like mostly like it's happened to my people. Like we are like not ready sometimes with this kind of things because like modernization and the development of technology and modernization and informations, actually it can be like become like the good influence and become the bad influence but it depends on how we use that. But these things, modernizations also like already influence the especially young people, young generation, young Dayak generations, and because of they lose their identity and the values already like lose by over the time. And the second things, the second problems that we face about it's happened to our home with the like forest and our life resources, because now like already like start destroyed, I can say like that, but because it's like the reality. And that's the challenge, how we try to keep this, like keep the ways of life and our life resources.
Got it. So as you're mentioning, like the biggest challenge is modernization, right? This modernization, it could be information technology, how that is adopted by the young people, and that then is beginning to, in a way, kind of move them away from wanting to have that more traditional way of living.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned as well, the second part of it is more about, the forest itself and how that's being impacted by industry, right? Okay, so then the question now for you personally, right? So here's why, and we're going to get into those in a little bit more detail in a second, but, like why is it down to you? So why do you feel the need and the call to be this, as I mentioned before, David calls you, a Dayak activist, right? And he says it with a smile on his face. David is Australian, so he says it in a very Australian activist, right? But yeah, so why you?
Because why I want to keep this?
Yeah.
Because I love it. Because I don't want these things lose. Because I love living in togetherness. I love this value, and I used to live in this value. And because if you just like know how to respect to each other, how to how to respect with your life resources, then you don't think about like always worry. Because it's really important to to like keep this value, to be like always joy and not worried about like another like people. We just like, oh, we are sisters and brothers, even my skin is white, your skin is black, but we are humans. And these values like what we have in my culture. That's why like it's really sad if like lose. And why is it important for me? Because I love it. Yeah, I love it, and I think it's really important. And yeah, because I just like love that things from my culture. You know, can you imagine like the way we talk with the elders is like different. We have to use the polite words, and the way you speak, you talk with the people like in the same age is different. And it's not to like control you, but it's like teach you how to be respect. And that's the things that make me like really love my culture, and the values like inside my culture is just like amazing. And if just lose and we just live by ourselves and just think about me and me and me, just like worry about everything, like, oh, tomorrow I have to be like this, I have to be how to survive like for tomorrow. But if we just like being together and just keep these values, you just think, okay, no worries, because I'm still like have sisters and brothers, and if I'm getting sad, they will come with me, and if they getting sad, like I will come with them and support each other, and we never worry about life.
Love that. And look, if you're wondering, because we advertised, thank you, honey, we advertised that Bhavna, right? Bhavna Parihar was going to be having a chat to you, and earlier on today she ate something that didn't really agree with her so well. So if you're wondering, like, this guy doesn't really look like Bhavna, the skin color's not far off. I mean, come on. I mean, like hair might be a bit of a challenge, but that's the reason why it's not false advertising. Is that Bhavna isn't here, but she's probably watching this. Probably at this point she's probably doing this. Head in her hands, people, but she's getting better. So, Bhavna, we love you. Don't worry, there'll be another interview waiting for you. Don't you worry about that. So look, so we've been through a few things now, right? So we understand, that Kalimantan is the third largest island, which is known as Borneo, is the third largest island in the world, which was I had no idea about. We realize now that there's 400 different sub-tribes within Kalimantan, and most of them have their own dialect, custom, culture, and so on. And you gave us a great example of what is a way to bring you all together, this thing that unifies all of you, which is this greeting, which I won't repeat, but I'll let you repeat in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Adil Kak Talino, Bacuramin Kak Saruga, Basengat Kak Jubata, Arus, Arus, Arus.
I remember the Arus at the end of it, which is good.
Yeah, so if I say Adil Kak Talino, Bacuramin Kak Saruga, Basengat Kak Jubata, you have to say Arus, Arus, Arus.
Arus,
okay,
Arus.
Maybe you can repeat what? I can repeat one more time. Adil Kak Talino, Bacuramin Kak Saruga, Basengat Kak Jubata.
Arus.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. Now I feel a little bit more connected to you than before. So now, and we've briefly discussed, some of the challenges that you're facing, and we'll get deeper into those. But what I'd love to hear, and Melanie, a mutual friend who you'll hear from in a minute, well, a little bit more in a minute, mentioned something which I had no idea about, and I think it's really important that you let people know, because then it also gives them a greater idea of who you are and how you think and how you feel and why you do what you do. So there's a few different projects that you've already set up that are already going. So would you mind to maybe inform us and let us know what they are, the ones that are probably at the forefront of your mind at the moment? Yeah, so projects. Yes.
Okay. In 2014, when I was 20 years old, with my sister, she just 15 years old at the time, 2014, we start the customary school, Arus Kualan. It's like a non-formal education where we try to connect the young people with the elders, and because all of the knowledge in the Dayak people, especially my Dayak, it's just like tough pass on.
Generation.
And yeah, generation to generation, and like from the story, but we don't have any like books or that resources. Then we also try to make it a balance between the traditional knowledge and the modern knowledge, and that's why I mentioned before that like the technology. Technology can be like become the bad influence and like good influence, and we use the technology become the tools also to keep our culture and tradition in traditional knowledge. And we use like the camera, and we record the story from the elders also, and we write like the story, and we went to the forest with the elders and like record the plants that used for the medicines, the traditional medicines. And like we have the literacy class also for the kids, and now we already have 5 schools in 5 different places in West Kalimantan, with the total students 116 kids. And for us, like there is a philosophy like that we keep in Arus Kualan is everyone can be a teacher, and nature is our school. And everyone can be a teacher, even you are like tiny, even you are like kids, even you are like an adult or like elders, you can be a teacher. So there is no like high level. So we always like sitting together and make a circle and learning like together. And we learn like everywhere. We don't have any official buildings, but everywhere is a school for us. Yeah, and all the kids like join this school like it's for free. Yeah.
You know, you remind me of this friend, right? And a few people here know who I am about to refer to, right? So I'll tell you the reason why. So I see you, and I get what Melanie was talking about now, right? So I see you, right, as a person who very humble, very respectful, yet it's a bit like a swan, right? So when you look at a swan on water, above the water, the swan is like serene and calm and going from left to right, right to left, just, whoo, right? But under the water, the legs are going like this. Right? So there's a lot going on, but it doesn't appear so from the surface. So this lady, her name is Matilda, and she's probably about the same height as you. Like, just getting a little check here. So she has been on the show 3 times, I think, over the last 3 years. And she was the one, actually, that gave me the decision to make this into a Q&A only, as opposed to a presentation with a Q&A at the end. And so she and her climbing partner, Francisca, another amazing lady, so they're the first female Indonesian team to complete what is known as a 7 Summits Challenge. So 7 Summits Challenge, what is it? The 7 Summits Challenge is climbing the highest mountain on 7 continents, including Mount Everest. She's just like phenomenal. So like, I won't go any more deeper into the story, that's for another time, but a beautiful woman who is very respectful, humble. You would never know. Like, you would never know. So like sometimes, and don't take this the wrong way, but trying to get stuff out of her is like, oh, you have to go in and you have to dig and you have to not pull it out. And I'm not saying I have to pull anything out of you, by the way, but there's so much going on underneath the surface of the water with her. They're writing a book. They're being lauded, obviously, nationally, recognized by the government. Jokowi sent them like a Twitter message and all this other stuff. Like, really, but she's all about empowering people and cultures, especially ancient ones. So because climbing is a spiritual thing, right? You know, when you climb some of these mountains, you know, there's a connection to the land that you have. And she's all for that, so I've got to connect you to. There's something in there that's just coming up. So anyway, I'll do that another time off camera. So, and write it down, Melanie. Good. So, what comes in is a few things. So I spent quite a bit of time with the Aboriginal culture when I was living in Australia for some time. One guy called Bob Randall, who has passed away now, rest in soul in peace, was a guy who's like you. He's a bridge. So he had a qualification from an American university, some sort of degree, I don't remember what it was in, but also was like an elder of elders in Australia. So in Australia there are also many Aboriginal tribes within Australia, and they have this story of the dreaming, which is the story of how the universe was created, how the world was created, and lots of things that happen in their life on a day-to-day basis. So each one of them, each tribe has got a story of the dreaming that is complete in itself. But when you helicopter view, when you come out, you realize that all of these stories come together as one giant story that connects all of them. In the same way as your greeting connects all of you in Kalimantan, this story of the dreaming connects all of them. And Bob Randall knew all of them. Very special guy. So I got to spend some time with him, which was some golden time. So the question that comes up is, when it comes to the Dayak, and in a minute we'll get into some of the challenges that you're facing, but when it comes to the Dayak, you've mentioned already about this beautiful contribution, right? Lungs of the planet, along with, as I mentioned, the Amazon, right? You've mentioned this connection between human beings and nature, which for you is a forest, right? You've mentioned togetherness, which is this beautiful thing about not being in competition with one another, but recognizing, acknowledging one another. This connection to God, right, which is, again, Tri Hitakarana comes in, which is, man, God, the environment. And you mentioned, some of these spiritual customs that in Kalimantan some of the tribes have that connect all of this together. So the question then is, if I asked you, what kind of future would you like to see, okay, when it comes to the Dayak people? And the things which we're going to go into later on, like what kind of future would you like to see?
So the future, like for Kalimantan, is Kalimantan must be like still green, like must become the lung of the world, and the Dayak people still become who they are. And their life resources must be must be sustainable, and must be keep and protect, and must be there. Yeah. I love to see that. I don't want everything loose, whether our life resources and our identity, because our identity also come from our life resources. So that's why, if we lose our greens, like forests, then we lose our identity also as a Dayak. Yeah, because it's not only the plants in the forest that we use for food and medicine and stuff like that, because this is special things also from our traditional knowledge, is to get the sign from the animals. This is cannot teach to the people, but we just learn it from our experience. And for example, we know the sign from the birth. When they give the sign, it's gonna be the bad things happen, or about the weather, and so many animals also will give the sign, and you cannot teach that, you just feel it and experience it. And that's why when people ask me, when they visit me in my village, how to hear the signs from the animals, I cannot teach them and tell them, because you just learn from your experience it. Yeah, that's why when you lose that, then you lose all of the knowledge also. Then you will disconnected. And I love to see in the future all the things should be the same. green and the identity. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. You know, two things come up. One, how good is your English? Like, like how many languages do you speak? Like, it's got to be, let's say, Indonesian, Bahasa, maybe Balinese, and then obviously you got your dialect there in Kalimantan. Like,
My first language is Dayak Simpakng language, and I speak some Dayak tribes language, like Dayak Ahe language, and just a little bit Dayak, what is it called? Dayak Aya language, and I speak Bahasa, of course, my second language, and I try to improve my English.
yeah, like it's phenomenal. I mean, because it's not easy to, number one, this is an open format Q&A, so there's nothing really to prepare, which is great, but it also can be quite like, ooh, what's he going to ask me next, right? So it can be quite unnerving, right? So to be able to kind of do this under pressure in a language that's not your own, I give you full acknowledgement, Dessy. You're amazing. Like,
thank you.
Really cool.
You
like,
too. You are very cool.
Interview over. I'll go on and I'm out here. We're done here. We're not done. So you know what? I just remembered as well why I went off on that tangent about Aboriginals, because what I realized is that they're in the same position in that, you know, their customs and culture is passed down through from mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
And there's some drawings and some paintings as well, which are being lost. And so that was a connection, you know, that I got to understand as best I could at that time with what I knew and what he was telling me and what I could take in. It was in Ayers Rock, Olga's area, for those who know Australia, very spiritual area. So I got a good insight into some of the struggles that they were facing, but I guess there it was a case of, you know, the civilization, let's call it that, were trying to find a way to deliberately kill the culture. You know, by this thing called a stolen generation, which took babies from one location and resettled them somewhere else, away from their dialect, culture, and all the rest of that. Like, look, but the world is full of these stories, I know, but that was a struggle, right? How do we connect our lineage all the way through, passing that ancient wisdom all the way through, when it's a wisdom that's passed from mouth to mouth? You know, so maybe a great segue, but yeah. So let's talk, and then we'll get Melanie up in a second as well. Let's talk a little bit about the struggles which you're facing. Firstly, Dayak, I'm talking about, but firstly, from, you know, technology, civilization, what you referred to as modernization, right? So what challenges there, if you can go into a little bit more detail so we get a better idea on what challenges the Dayak, your people there in West Kalimantan, are facing with respect to that. Yeah, so with respect to modernization. Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way we respect to the modernizations.
Yeah, so a little bit you mentioned before about the young people now is finding it difficult. They want to kind of go this way, right, which is in a way away from their culture. And what you're trying to do is to say, well, you know, it's okay to embrace technology and all these things, but let's retain and let's pass that knowledge down from the ancients, from our forefathers, from your forefathers, on towards the kids growing up. So then the question was, like, what are some of the biggest challenges that the Dayak are facing in that area, in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, actually, the problems that we face is because we just not ready yet with that. Actually, yeah, like sometimes it's called like cultural shock. Yeah, we not ready yet with that. That's why sometimes it can like influence the young people, like it's more like let's say like modern, and left the left the traditional things, and like traditional things is just, let's say, like it's something old and it's not like modern and something like that, and yeah, that's like the smartphone. You know, like the smartphone can what is it called? Make like the people, even the kids with the smartphone, they just like become a zombie, like just focus with their phone, and then like they don't care about people like around them, because like in the past, but still like it's like lucky me because our kids in the village, they still like playing together and climb the trees and like jump to the river. It's just like special things, you know. You just like being like together with your friends, and you can feel this joy, and it's really health also for you, because you just like move your body, and with these things like smartphone, it just like make what is it called? It's really influence the togetherness things.
Yeah,
you know.
So it kind of blocks that, you know, because you're saying before that togetherness is a really big part of your culture, which is beautiful, right? And then like even our kids, right? 5 and 7. I have two little girls, and we went on a bit of a road trip over the last few days, and but yeah, you know, you're trying to talk to them, and they're face in a device, the brain shuts off. Even though women can multitask far better than men can, but the brain shuts off, and like, you know, they started arguing over stuff. So then we literally, Marina and I, you know, every now and again have to say, look, if you don't work this out, we're taking this thing away, because it's a center problem creating item in your life. Right? So so I have a little bit of an appreciation. And
another thing is also like because of the because that technology, we see like from the bad influence, because I told you before that it can be like become the good influence for so we just tell about the bad influence, like that things can start the competitions between like what is it called? It can be, what is it called? That things start the competitions among the community, you know, because
conflicts.
Like people want to show themselves, like, oh, I'm
ego.
Want to show themselves. Oh, I have like smartphone, and then like they can like access like all the information is really like easy, and sometimes like they don't like really like absorb these informations, like they just like absorb all of the informations, and that's why I told you before that if like people not ready with that, so it can be like a bad influence for them.
Got it.
Yeah.
So look, what we're going to do in a minute. So Melanie, come and join us, darling. So Ayuba, you're going to pull focus on the camera. Pull focus. So what we're going to do. So now Melanie is going to join us. Now, Melanie, I'm going to let her introduce herself. This wonderful Irish lass, right? Who, if you can come a little bit closer, actually. Yeah. So they can pick us up over there as well. All right, cool. So are you in? I think we've got you in. So what we can probably do, we've got you in. Great.
Oh, yeah.
So, right. So now, for those of you watching, remember, you know, for the best watching and viewing experience, probably on YouTube, the most accessible. Right, YouTube, SpeakuP, one word, Monday. So SpeakuP Monday, and you'll find Robert Ian Bonnick in front of it. But just come there and you'll hear and see everything perfectly. Now, I'm just wondering, because now if you look at the camera, you are now Dessy. So I'm not sure how that one's gonna go down at home, but I'm sure we can work it out. So listen, Melanie, welcome to Speak Up Monday. Now, I think what would be really great is for you just to give a little bit of background, maybe a couple of minutes on where you've come from and how you came to meet this beautiful Dessy as well.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Melanie and I'm the founder of Her Story, which is a storytelling movement for women. It's an empowerment program for women. And I suppose to rewind back to my childhood, I was weaned on the National Geographic. That's where I learned what it meant to be a woman, really. So seeing Dessy today in all of her beautiful traditional jewellery beadwork, that for me would be the definition of a woman, in her power, rooted in her culture, proud of her culture, and that diversity of humanity that the National Geographic gave me. I wasn't a very cool kid, I wasn't too popular. It's not everybody else was into like Britney Spears. I was down with the National Geographic. So that always stayed with me, I suppose. And I worked in the advertising industry and I learned really powerful communication skills, and we were always talking about storytelling and what stories really matter and why do we tell the stories that we tell. And it grated with me because I knew I was missing something. So I was in London and I was in Paris, and then I thought I'd take a detour to Kenya before I went to New York. Well, I never went to New York after that. And I spent time with the tribal cultures in Kenya, and I was envious of their rootedness to the earth, their connection to the earth, the wisdom, their presence, their depth of presence, and the richness of their culture and their origin stories. And I craved this connection because we've lost a lot of it in the West. In the name of modernity, we've lost so much of our humanity. And so I came to Indonesia. I was feeling the call for a long time. And I would have grown up with, like in the National Geographic, there was no mention of Bali. It was all Borneo, Komodo, Java, Sumatra. So my calling was to go to Borneo. And the first weekend I arrived, I went to this amazing event that David Metcalf hosted in Soulshine about the Dayak culture. And it was like just this perfect alignment. I knew there was something special there. I knew I got the bug. And so David was telling me about Dessy, and I was just so intrigued that this 25-year-old girl she's already founded 5 primary schools, indigenous schools, at the age of 25. As you say yourself, Dessy, you've no husband yet, but you have how many children? You've been very busy, 160 children. She's amazing. She's too humble, so I'm here today to give her a boost because I've never seen anything like it. Somebody who could hold the respect of the elders. They really are so in awe of you, and yet so adored by the children. You see her calm tonight. You want to see her bouncing around the room with 50 kids, and the dancing and the music and the crack. It is just wow to witness. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Love it.
And great timing. So now, but just quickly on you. So you work with some of the biggest clients in the world, right?
Yeah.
Give it a bit of a what, so people get an idea about you first.
Global brands like Adidas and Google and God, I'm going blank now. Absolute Vodka. Why is that coming to mind? The Irish girl name with cliche now. And Audi and Volkswagen and yeah.
There you go. So then here's the thing, right? So you have this wonderful Irish lass who has been working in the highest levels of that whole medium of storytelling, advertising, marketing for some of the biggest companies in the world. And then you get this call to leave there and to come closer to here. And then going through that, you met a mutual friend of ours, David Metcalf, who can't be here this evening. Could have been interesting having the 4 of us having a quick chat. There you go. And then you find yourself meeting this wonderful, beautiful girl here called Dessy, and you realize what's going on. And then through that, you get to spend time with the Dayak as well, right? So you get to literally have this full immersion. By the way, if this interests you, David, we'll give him a plug later on. This is what he does, right? He provides this unique experience which allows people like you, like me, like us, to go deep into the jungle and spend time with some incredible ancient wisdom without impacting it, because we're still on the outside looking in, but we get to experience it. And part of what you mentioned before about the beauty of it, and this is the reason why you love it so much. So bringing this kind of full circle in a way, from your time there and also spending time with Dessy and everyone else that we've been speaking about, what's your take on, what make the Dayak for you very special? And then where do you see some of the biggest challenges, and then we'll get into the solutions afterwards.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I've never actually experienced a culture that lives so in harmony with nature. It's that reverence for the earth. Everything is ritualistic. Everything is done in harmony with nature. 6 o'clock in the morning, we had to go and catch our breakfast. Wild. It was wild breakfast. And we're all bundled into the river. And there was quite a swell, actually. There'd been a big storm. So the river was 6 meters higher than normal. And there was whitewater rapids. So I tell you wake up fairly lively then. And there we were, going along the river. And the girls were with us. Beautiful young youth ambassadors that Daisy's been training. And they just pipped up, they'd spotted breakfast. Delicious breakfast on the banks of the river. And they exclaimed to me, they said, "This is our supermarket and it's all free." And off they scurried up into the riverbank and they got our breakfast for us. And then we went home back to the community and we cooked breakfast. So if you go into a Dayak kitchen, there's no food in boxes, there's no preservatives, there's no pesticides, no poisons in the food at all. No food colouring. It is its natural colour, and it's just, my body was humming by the end of the week. It's never worked so well. It's incredible, and it was delicious. I mean, it really was scrumptious food. So that for me was a revelation, this idea, we talk about sustainability and organic in the West, like it's a modern buzzword, but it's actually not. It's our ancient way of being. And in Ireland, we were doing this until about 200 years ago. We've lost that way, and there's that yearning, there's that longing, that pull to go back. And I think the Dayak, for me, they live and breathe it every day, and they're beautiful, kind, light-hearted people as well. They're so joyous to be around. Like every night we had culture night, we danced. The music is stunning. The sape instrument, it's the instrument for healing. It's just, my heart was just cracked open by the trip. It really is. And to see the rainforest in person, I cried. I couldn't keep it in. We journeyed, so 6 hours driving through a lot of palm oil plantations and jungle, and then 6 hours up a river in a boat. Where we were, there was no Wi-Fi, there was no phone signal. It was just bliss. My nervous system had said, "Thank God, I don't want to go back to the Wi-Fi afterwards." It took me 24 hours before I'd hit on the Wi-Fi button. Jeez, just keep me away from that, Because you disconnect from the Wi-Fi in the Western world to reconnect with yourself and fundamentally what it means to be human. And it's, we're losing it. Like, it's so simple. It's family, it's community, it's good food, it's nature, being rooted to nature. Spirituality, it's just, and they live and breathe it. They're just the most beautiful people. Really amazing.
I love the colour in your tone, my darling. So it's, you pick it up, right? Yeah. I love it. So here's the thing. So for you, through your perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges which are facing the Dayak of that region where you stayed at the moment?
Yeah.
And what do you think some of the solutions could be?
Wow. So the challenges are the rapid effects of modernization. And I think Daisy's finding that balance between the traditional culture and how modernity can empower it. So, for example, Daisy's sister, Deli, is a very talented sape music player. And she's using social media to empower her culture and to share it with the world. So she has 12,000 followers on Instagram and 10,000 followers on YouTube. She's a sensation. And she's, what age is she, 21?
Yeah,
she's
21.
young. So that's really amazing. That's a wonderful example. If you use the internet for good, this is what it can do. She wears all her traditional dress, and she's just wow. They're just most amazing dynamic family. Other problems Daisy was talking about, and I could witness it actually with the few kids that did have access to smartphones, they become quite selfish, which is really bizarre for a culture that isn't fundamentally narcissistic. So one thing that I noticed about the Dayak is, you go into the bathroom, and I didn't see my reflection for a whole week. If there's a mirror, it's cracked or it's dusty, because narcissism is not in their nature, which I just thought was really wow. And I was delighted, it really was a revelation for me. And also the clocks and the walls as well, they're all frozen in time. They don't bother with batteries for clocks. Sure, why would you be look at the time? Just be in the present moment. And there's a real beauty and a magic to that, and it's how it's preserved going forward, because of course selfies and smartphones make children. I would argue that the narcissistic pandemic is far worse than COVID, you know. So that's a real misfortune. And I think the solution really is the work that Daisy's doing and how she supported and empowered, because I witnessed on the ground how she was transforming these kids. We went to one village where it was a new village, you'd been to only 3 times, and so the children were gradually coming out of their shell, you know. But the kids that she'd been working with for a few years, they were the most dynamic, interactive, confident, engaging kids. It was just wow to witness how transformed they were, because in the traditional Indonesian education system, it's very similar to the West. It's the industrial system where the teacher stands up at the classroom and talks down to the kids. But Daisy has this beautiful, very feminine way. It's this beautiful flow. There's no hierarchy, and everybody's a teacher. Everybody's sharing, and it's a magic to witness it. So I would say, you know, support Daisy, empower Daisy, because she is the solution in the work that she's doing. And there's no stopping her at 25. Like, she's got 5 primary schools already, and she's got a big dream to start the first Indigenous high school. She's going to do it. You already have the land. We just need to raise the funds now. I've seen the proposal. It's absolutely wow. And the cost is a fraction of what we pay for in schools in Ireland, like, or anywhere in the West. Like, it's really brilliant. And I mean, within the program, you've developed a number of initiatives so that the children learn like eco-friendly, sustainable business practices, social enterprises. Like, this is like way out in the jungle. They're doing this really progressive, radical work, and that's where the beauty of modernity, I think, comes in, because you're using the modern ways to empower the Indigenous culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I miss something there? I must have missed something today.
No, it's right.
Yeah.
Storytelling. Yes.
So then,
storytelling.
On that, so people do want to contribute.
Yeah.
Now, the contribution isn't always financial, but how can people contribute to you? Where can they find you? So is there social media? Is there a website? Is there... Because now people have got, you know, and thanks to the beautiful Melanie's help as well, so people have got a pretty good sense of your nature, right? And the sorts of things that you're doing, and where your heart is at, and how you connect. Right? So I'm sure there's people watching now who say, well, okay, that's great. So what can I do? How can I help? How can I contribute?
Yeah, actually, you can connect with us. We have a website, www.aruskualan.com. And you can follow us on Instagram also, because I put all of our activity in there.
Now, I'm going to interrupt you there, because there is no way that anyone would have got that website address. So break it down. If you want to break it down, you break it down too. So just very slowly give people that website address. If you want to spell it out, even better.
Yeah. www.arus, Kualan, Kualan.com. Check it out.
One more time.
Kualan. Boom.
Yes.
Beautiful. And then the other ones on Instagram?
Instagram also, Arus Kualan, ARUS, underscore KUALAN.
Amazing.
Yeah. So why I want to share this movement and activity is not about I want to show what I'm doing, but I try to encourage also like people maybe who have the same vision and mission with me, like outside my community. Now you can start in your place also, and don't think about how I can start this. Just start what you can do. Maybe you just bring the kids playing together and bring them to the elders, or just playing together and like learning together. And for the young people also who want to be a change maker, who want to be a leader in their community, don't be afraid for the things that you try to like speak up. And because if you think that it's really important to do, just do it as long as you are happy to do it. The most important thing is just do what you make. Just do the things that that make you happy. I mean, yeah, because I love to do some things that make me like happy, like teaching and playing the kids is the most like happiest things for me. Yeah, I'm really happy. Like I love the kids.
And I think that comes across, and you've seen that up close. We haven't seen it up close, but we get that from your energy and the way you are, right? You'll be that person that is, I do, absolutely. I'm sure other people do as well. And we will have some questions coming around pretty soon for you, Jerome. But before we do that, just want to, now this one I don't really think we need to dwell upon, but, one of the things that we were going to talk about a little bit was, the fact that, yes, there is industry in Kalimantan, which is endangering this lungs of the world, okay? This lungs of the world location. And I think that most people here know what mass industry is. I don't think we need to force feed it down your throat. But the things which I really enjoy to focus on is a solution, not necessarily the problem. Because again, attention goes, right? Where energy flows, where attention goes, energy flows, and results follow. So if my energy and my attention is on what the problem is all the time, all I get is more problems, right? And I agree that by solving the problems, then we get ourselves to another place. But again, I do love to present, something that has a rounded feel to it. So having said that, what are some of the biggest challenges facing you from that perspective?
From the industry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't really know about the industry and stuff like that. But what I see about my home that already destroyed. I don't what is it called? I don't say the what is it called? The
Situation.
No, not the situation. What is it called? What the question?
Oh yeah. So you're saying that in your home, these are the effects that you notice, right? It might be less trees. It might be deforestation. It might be. I think we spoke a little bit before about some of the main industries. In there is about trees, right?
Yeah. I mean the industry. I don't say the industry it's not good or something like that because everyone try to survive in this world, right? But what I learned from our elders is take what you need, not what you want. So even I don't say the palm oil plantations in Kalimantan it's really bad, blah blah blah, something like that, because maybe you can build that industry. I'm so sorry to mention. So you can build the industry and maybe it's needs, but the things that you have to think also the balance, because if you want to survive, you also need to think what the things that can make you survive in a sustainable ways. And I don't say the industry is not good or it's bad, something like that. It can be developed, but must be balanced with another ways of life, like forest, for example. So because we need it, because in this I say, I cannot say modernization is not good or I don't want modernizations, because we already live in that situations. It's same like industry. We already live in that situations, but how we have to see something that important behind and beside that, in here, for example, we built the house and so many houses already, but how we need to think also about another things that make you survive also. Yeah.
Got it. So it's that understanding of, we said, what does it take? What you need, not what you want.
Yeah, just take what you need, not what you want. So, because if you take what you need, you just okay, I need one glass of water. But if you say I want I want the water for like one is difference. One is not something that you need, but sometimes it's something that more than what you need. Yeah, just take something that you need, not what you want.
Got it. Got that, yeah. Now, Jerome, I think you had a question. So what I'll do is, if you just move your foot there, Dessy, and let's see if I can give him this mic. Yeah.
So, Jaron.
Hi, Dessy.
Hi.
Good to reconnect.
Good to see you. It's nice.
I'm happy about social media sometimes because I didn't even know you were here. So I had the privilege, like Melanie, to go to a beautiful place twice, stay a week with your family.
Yeah.
And the last time was last year this time, and we had a beautiful trip in the deep jungle. And exactly what you said, and I love your description earlier about, I could feel the passion. And your beautiful Irish accent, I loved it. I lived in Dublin. And when I was there, I was just thinking exactly this. It's more common than a question, but it's like really, I love how these two, I mean, those two beautiful women sitting here were like basically expressing about their experience, their belief, and the passion that you have for kids. And like, yeah, you have 230 kids, and you're only 27 or something. And it's true. It's just a joy to see. And also, I'm a social entrepreneur, and I'm so honored to have been there. You know, like to have met you. Thanks to David. Thanks again, David. But it's more about what you're doing is the great thing, because what you're trying to do in this world here is to preserve your culture, and also you talked about it extensively. Trying to limit the bad effects of modernization, but you can't stop it. It's there, and it's how do you mitigate that? And I always remember, just as an example, these beautiful people there, and this young 9-year-old girl who came to pick us up at the airport. She was so happy to go and drive for 8 hours, 4 and 4, and then to basically, she's so smart, she's incredible, and she's so outgoing. What you were just saying, Melanie, was about how is it possible being 9, but because she's in her environment and she's thriving and she loves it. And I was dancing with her. We had a beautiful video, salsa, like in a Dayak context. It's like on a very, not on salsa, but on a very slow song. It's just, for me, it was blowing my mind. And then this 5 days without a phone, I needed it at that time. I needed it. I knew it was so good for me. The only thing you were worried about is if something happens in the family somewhere far. But it was so good, nothing happened. And your beautiful sister with the sape, and then this Jongkong village we went to with all these kids. And it's just like they hadn't seen a foreigner since 1975, when an accident of a helicopter or something was there, and some foreigners came to check because some foreigners died. It's just like we're in another world. And we were talking about these Dutch missionaries in the 70s. I'm Dutch originally, and it was like, what? And it's just like how happy they were, and they did free ceremonies for us, and I felt so humbled, you know, like about all this, and just in being what I'm trying to express, and it's not a question, it's just the gratitude I have for you people, and for these moments, because we forget, we create this world, we in a so-called modern civilization, even in Bali, there's so many things here that remind us from the West, and we should learn from your culture. And as you rightly said, it's when you travel in Kalimantan, it's full of palm oil plantations. It's very sad to kind of see on one eye, you know, but then, yes, people have to live. So I love what you said. It's part of the picture. It's what it is, and you need to accept it. And it's not right or wrong, it's what it is, but how do we make it better? And so much wisdom, and I just encourage anyone to go and do that, and go there just for a week and just immerse yourself, because you get back to your roots, to your life, to anything. And for me,
we live in the same earth, we breathe in the same air. Even you, if like somebody like hit you, like you can feel that, you know. That's why if like people who come and visit me, spend time with me, and then when they are back and they are feeling happy, it's I cannot like say anything. I'm happy with that. I'm really happy and and I feel like really like connected also with these people. Like, yeah, it's really like touching me also because they can accept my perspective and I can accept their perspective, and this is like what we call human. And yeah, I'm really happy with that. And thank you very much also. This is how we call, even you come from the different, different country or different colors of skin or different colors of hair. Yeah, but we all humans and we have to share this love and happiness. Yeah.
and look, thank you, darling. And
yeah, thank
and
you.
Melanie, to you. So what we'll do, right? So two closing comments. We'll start with you, Melanie, and then we'll finish with you, and I'll probably come in the middle somewhere, and that will give you time to think. Right? Oh, we have a question. Ayub, come on, brother.
So, first of all, I would like to say I'm so proud of you for what we've been doing, and it was amazing. I'm just wondering about the life at the community in Kalimantan, because I've never been there, and I have lived in the remote area before. I have been in West Sumatra, Mentawai Island, and also Sumba for traveling. And the thing that I want to ask is, how about the mindset of the parent at the community? Because when I visit Mentawai and Sumba, they just finished the school until high school, even mid-school. And when I asked them, they just said like, their parent asked them just finish the school and help them at the garden, like to work. And how do you encourage the kids or maybe the people, the parent in your community to get the school even until university or, yeah, just wondering about it.
Okay, so this is like about the education also, right? So I always like accept all of the people's decisions. Like in one area, like in the remote area, maybe they don't need like the educations, maybe. Yeah, because this is like sometimes we want to help, but we want to help based on our perspective. Then we bring this like, oh, I think they need like modernizations. Then we just like go there. Oh, you have to be like this and like this. But sometimes maybe they don't need it. But this is sometimes that make all of the things like what is it called? Change in one place, you know, because they don't ready with the things come from outside. Then they have to like follow, you know, like some things that new for them. Then if in my place we already like face these situations, we already like have formal schools, and like the parents need to like to what is it called, send their kids to the formal schools, and there is no choice for them anymore. If like their kids not go to the high like university, they just like just difference with another kids like who already like in the university. And yeah, actually I accept what the parents decide, you know, but what I try to do is that's why I want to build like a school based on that place needs, you know. So I want the school because most of the I will this is the problems also when the young people continue their study to the city, then they don't want to back to the village. Mostly that they left their village. Then how like the school also it's not the things that make the young people left their village. Because it's really hard to say this, it's really hard to say this because sometimes we don't understand about like what they need in that village. So maybe they don't need like education or let's say like this. But I try to not help actually. I try to work with them and see what they need. If they need like in education and the parents need like their kids to what is it called? They have to go to the university. Yeah, I will like go with the kids and let's like see the education is the things that you need in your life. Let's work with this together. But if I come to the village and then the parents and say we don't need it, like because we try to keep our way of life, and I try to understand them and I try to accept that. Yeah, because this is really important for. This is also like really important also for. I'm so sorry to say this, like people maybe from outside or like the organizations or whatever is that. Who try to help people. If you want to help people, like see what they need, not like based on your perspective and you want them like the same like you. It's not help, but it's want to change. I'm so sorry to say this, but sometimes it's the reality.
And I'm also curious about one thing that we talked before, just a couple minutes, and you said that your village is around 6 hours driving from the town. Is it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the power, the electricity is the network, the signal also is not available there. And your main language is Dayak, right? Not Bahasa Indonesia, or because when I was in Mentawai, I don't know, when I speak in Bahasa Indonesia, they don't really understand even support. And I'm just wondering about your community in your village. How is it? And
in my village, we speak Bahasa also. Our people speak Bahasa if like people from outside come, but we speak Dayak language. Like
okay, so it's easy to communicate with you.
Yeah, it's easy to communicate.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I try to make the kids to speak Dayak.
Yeah,
to speak like because language is also one of the it's your identity also. Language is your part of your identity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's why I mentioned before we have to make like everything like balance between modern and traditions. Yeah.
And I think just to add to that point, actually, Dessy, you're a great role model for your community because you went to university and you've taken on the learnings from university and brought it back to empower your village. So you're sitting here as a brilliant communicator. She majored in English. You're a great communicator because of your experience, but you've also got that rootedness to your village and the empowerment of your community. And your sisters have followed in your footsteps because Dewi was the first person to record the stories of Dayak women. That was her thesis. She majored in history. She's just graduated, and she's back in her village now and working with Dessy in the customary school. So I think you're brilliant role models for the power of when you use education for good. But sometimes we don't need it. And I talked as well. I said to you, we when you talked about your culture shock when you went to university, I said, but you have to catch that too, because this idea that because in the West we have access to so much more information does not mean we're wise. We have a poverty of wisdom in the West. We're suffering at the moment. And there's all this information. It's just clogging up the airways and our hearts and our souls and our mind. And when I go to the Dayak people, I'm rooted in this wisdom. And it's so refreshing. It really is. That's such a gift. And you and your wisdom and your joy and your fun, but you're so wise for your age as well. It's really, really special.
I feel like what I'm about to ask may have just been touched on by what you just said. Firstly, this has been really thought-provoking, and it's been really interesting sitting here and hearing about your achievements. And I want to acknowledge everything you've done. It's really impressive and very cool. I have a big value around education, so I really respect what you're doing. And I'm curious, actually, to hear about your experience at university. Maybe you could talk about that. But what I wanted to ask was, again, from a limited perspective of somebody who's grown up in the West, between the UK and America. Well, I grew up in the UK and I spent a decade in the States. I see all these budding technologies, and I see both their benefits and their drawbacks, or at least some of them. And, I wonder about how people can, you've touched many times about living sustainably, and you've spoken about balance. And I think that there is a middle ground where we can utilize the benefits of these technologies and try and mitigate, as much of the downside as possible by living this kind of more balanced and aware lifestyle. And I wonder, as somebody who maybe mirrors my human experience coming from, a more native upbringing and having engaged with the West like you are here and like you did at university, how you potentially see, that balance and the wisdom that was just alluded to. How much do you feel of the promise of these modern tools is maybe mundane, given the wisdom that you connect to culturally and in your community and in your broader community naturally anyway? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So mundane, do you think it's even, is it necessary? Do we need it? Like mundane, is it in the context of, in comparison to the wisdom?
Yeah, like for example, you're here, you're on a podcast, there's a number of cameras and lights, and this is being broadcast to people who could potentially hear you anywhere in the world right now. And I've had telepathic experiences in my life. That doesn't mean that I necessarily harness it regularly, but this is quite an effective way of communicating to people en masse. But then, there's people are addicted to being on their phones, so that's the kind of downside, and I guess I'm asking, where do you draw that line between the wisdom or the benefit that comes from these modern tools, and where do you feel that they're distracting people, and like the lady on your side mentioned, people getting lost. There's a people are getting lost. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, actually, it's also necessary to tell the story also, use these tools also with the, for example, that's why what I told before, I want to share what I am doing. It's not because I want to show up, but I want to share to the people. Maybe some of the youth, for example, in another part is in this in this world, who want to do the same things maybe with me, but they still don't have any encourage them to start. Then that's why I try to share my story, and I try to share what I'm doing, because I want to maybe just share, just start. Because you have this, the same people who have the same vision and mission like you also, and it's not only you who walk through this journey, because there is another people also. That's why it's really important to use this kind of modernization to be functions, to be useful. Because I told before, it can be bad influence and good influence, and let's use the technology become the influence, become the tools also to connect us to one people to another people, to as a tools also for us to speak up, as a tools also for us to to keep the culture, one tools also for us to keep the cultures and traditions also. You mean like?
Yeah. So what you've done actually is highlight a brilliant topic, right? Thank you. And yeah. So Dessy here is wondering if she answered the question or not. So here's the thing about this whole thing, right? So we don't script anything. We don't write questions down. None of that. It's all in flow. And the interesting part is that sometimes the questions that are asked, it's actually not important that we answer them. It's what is triggered by the question, and we speak to that. And oftentimes that's what we're supposed to do anyway, which is the whole thing about flow, which actually I remember when the 3 or 4 or 5 of us met, it was a pretty in flow kind of a day. But the reason why I bring it up, because brilliant point, next week we have Lana Rees. Now Lana Ann Rees is the founder and director of Pro Education.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
And we were there last week.
Do you see what I mean?
Amazing.
Do you see what I mean? That's how it works.
Incredible school. Amazing school.
Incredible school.
The school where we were on Thursday, where you gave 5 talks and workshops. Dessy was on a roll.
I have no doubt she was on a roll, right?
So the founder of the school is going to be the speaker sitting in your chair next week.
Yeah.
That's flow.
Yeah, so Lana's been a friend for a while, right? Let me rephrase that. I've known Lana for like a while, and I believe we have a good connection, that we don't hang out, right? You know, she's got kids, husband, family. I've got 2 kids, family. But there's always been a common connection with us, right? So I'm really happy that she said yes, right? So next week she'll be on. And for those of you who don't know, so here in Bali, there are, so I work with the Temora group, have done for many years. And so Temora Gallery is this, it's like the first family lifestyle education, recreation-based center where you have food and beverage, boutique offerings, health, wellness. Like, it's an incredible spot. But what makes it very proximally located is that it's in the middle of 5 international schools. Montessori, like French, like there's 5 international schools around us, right? So. Wow. So here in Bali, if you're wondering, I've got kids, should I move to Bali? What's schooling like? Like from here to here and from there to there and here to here. Like the options are kind of extraordinary. And one of the things about Pro Education is that, I grew up in London, England, similar to my friend over here. And, but then I moved around a bit. So the education system here, there's so many different types of ways to learn. I mean, even with Montessori, we were talking about Montessori school the other day, and that the kids become teachers to other kids. So it's almost like, hey, so I choose this thing to work on. Okay, what is this thing? This thing is called, say, calculus, maths, right? And it's like, so I go to teachers and say, hey, this stuff here, maths, I don't really know the answer. Oh, last week, Melanie, who's another kid in the class, did that. Why don't you go and ask them, right? So you scoot off, I scoot off to Melanie and say, hey, Melanie, I'm looking at this thing here, and then you teach me, which is phenomenal, right? It's like, this is not the rote learning way of education, as you mentioned before, of I'm the teacher, I know everything, listen to me. Which is broken. It doesn't work, right? That's just testing my memory recall. It's not testing whether I've understood or not. So we had another really great, beautiful woman, a friend called Bianca Raby. Now, Bianca Raby, to me, is one of the future of education. She is what we call a learning designer. learning
Ooh, I like that
designer, Bianca Raby, another Aussie, right? You got to meet her. Again, she was in Australia with that system, but then what she realized was that system had a glass ceiling on it. And she wasn't going to make any further than that. So that's why she set up her own company and now hires people all over the world. So learning design is, 90-something% of the online educative classes, which are buy-in, meaning I pay for this, I get something. 90% of them don't work. Right? It's crazy. So what a learning designer does is a learning designer goes back to the beginning and say, okay, what is it that you want to achieve? I want to achieve this. Okay, how do you know that this person who's going through this particular course has understood what they were supposed to at this point? How do you know? Because in the traditional education system, you don't. You just keep going and going and going and going and going, a bit like me now. Keep going and going and going, and then you test them, which is really factual recall, how much I can regurgitate on a piece of paper, and I say, yep, you've passed, and I forget it all. And I go into the world, and that's my education. And the education system is out of step with the jobs which are available. So now, again, this is what is stirred up. Now, like with our children, where we want to, and Itchy's kids as well. Sorry, Itchy, bring you into this because you're a remarkable man. Four kids, right? So it's about creativity. Yeah. It's about creativity. So in which way can you be creative and express that? Is it the written form? Is it the verbal form? Is it the physical form? Yeah. What is it? And let's go with that, right? And in a way, you create your own learning pathways. It's really interesting. So a learning designer goes deep into that and creates ways and feedback mechanisms for you to know they've understood that before they move to that. And understanding, so I can look, but I don't necessarily see. Meaning I can go to your home, I can look at the forest, but I don't see what you see. But I'm looking, but I just don't see it. So it's a bit like that. So next week with Lana and pro-education, like Montessori is different, pro-education is different again. And they've got their own learning pathways and methodologies, but it's all about empowering the individual and treating this wonderful, big word, repository of knowledge, right, called a child, right? How do we not educate, but how do we allow this person, this child, to realize what's important for them and then to follow that through. One other guy, very interesting, has created this test, and I'm going to have to remember who he is. I think it was Benjamin. Created this test where at a very young age you can test kids' natural pathways for learning, which is crazy cool. So imagine the concept, right? If I can understand from the age of 2 or 3 or even younger, let's say, like what kinds of things that I'm attracted to doing naturally, right? Then would it be a better use of my time to do the things that align with that? Or do all of this other stuff which I'll never use, never care about, never want to know, and is wasting my time and interrupting my bandwidth, right? So these are the sorts of education pathways which are beginning to come. And I'm a mix of excited and scared. Because it's like, as a parent now, what do you do, right? All these different options, and then the price points are over here to down there. It's like, what do you do? I don't know, right? So we're working it out as we go. And the last thing which I'll leave you with is this thing called feedback analysis, right? Which is fascinating, right? So feedback analysis, one guy, I'll have to check who it was. Okay, so 3 ways to know oneself. In this world, especially here in Bali, it's like, do you know yourself? Yes, I know myself. Okay, how do you know? So the first way is, I meditate. I love meditation, okay? I sing it from the hilltops, right? So I meditate, and through meditation, I get to know myself. Okay, great. Except studies and research has proven that we have this thing called a bias. right? So we see the things that we want to see, which isn't necessarily the truth. It can be, but the odds are kind of stacked almost against you a little bit, right? Well, actually quite a lot. The second way is by asking other people. So, great, but as human beings, the way that we're wired is that we like to ask people who already like us, who we know already like us, who are going to tell us the good things, not the bad stuff. Because we don't really want to feel pain. We want to move away from pain towards pleasure, right? So therefore, this works if you get people who can be honest with you without the fear of upsetting you. Right? This is what you're good at, Dessy. The third way is called feedback analysis. So feedback analysis is about you literally looking back in your life. And now you, Dessy, right? We didn't get onto this tonight, but I bet if you looked back into your life when you were a young kid, maybe you asked your parents, right? Maybe it's a mix of all three. And you said, you know, like, I'm doing these things now, right? I'm creating 5 schools. I'm running 5 schools, right? I just really I'm a bridge between the Dayak culture and the rest of the world, right? I'm doing this stuff. I'm being an activist, right? As David calls it. I'm being a Dayak activist, right? What were the patterns in my life growing up that were already leading me towards this direction? And that's feedback analysis. It's by going back and looking. So, for example, some people, you know, what the biggest fear for most people is public speaking, right? One of the largest fears we have in the world. Now, for some people, when they were the age of 5, 4, you know, someone thrust a microphone in their hand and said, hey, go and talk to people. And they got up and they just grabbed the microphone and said, hey, this microphone is mine, right? And everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Right? So then, you know, and again, what you'll find by the age of 18, we have enough information to make a decision about this using feedback analysis. It's a very cool way to think. And so when you look back, you begin to link up these moments which all coalesce. These moments that all come together, and you can see a clear line of where your aptitudes lie, where your abilities lie, where your desires lie, in a way, like, why are you here? You know, like, what were you born for, if you want to take it from that direction. So even though I know we're way off topic, we're kind of in topic, because this is about education and about knowing thyself. And then with kids, what we're finding now is that we're going away from this traditional way of, I'm the teacher, listen to me. Not there's anything, maths, English, you still need to learn. Like, there's, you know, I can be as creative as I want, but if I can't read and I can't write, it'll be difficult for me to express myself, right? And so, but you've got those things. But then it's about, you know, like, how do we, you know, look at each child in a way that is, I don't want to use the word right, but in a way that's appropriate for them. You know, what lights them up, and how can we empower them to go along that journey and make it? Last thing, promise. There's a King Richard, right? Is a movie that Will Smith just made about Richard Williams, who is Venus Williams, and Serena Williams' dad. Yeah. Now, these girls obviously changed the world of tennis in all ways, for women, for black women, and all the rest of that. So King Richard is a story, well, not a story, I think it closely resembles the truth of what the dad did to basically set these girls up in a way it was on their pathway, using their gifts and talents to the fore in a way that they were able to do what they did, which is change the face of tennis in the world. You know, so like, there's all of these interesting stories coming to light now, because again, I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but education is such a powerful thing. So you having these 5 schools, and I love that you're a bridge. I really, really do. You know, I love the fact that, you know, what you're doing, not trying to do, what you're doing is that you're finding ways and solutions to connect Dayak to their history, with also taking on the best aspects of modernization, but in such a way that it fosters and it supports this, but it also allows people to kind of move, you know, in a direction of passion and so on. So So yeah, that's a bit of a monologue, I know, but hey, that's how it rolls. It's your fault, man. So look, rounding this one off here, one of the ways, or the way that we kind of end the show, right, is, and I'll go to you first, Melanie, and then we'll come to you afterwards, okay, is, what would you like to leave people with? So, what does that mean? It means that you might be reiterating, meaning repeating what you said already, right? Or it might be something new that comes into your mind that's like, hey, I really wanted to talk about that and I haven't had a chance yet. Or it just might be blank. Or it just might be a blank. It's like, I got nothing to say here. Nothing to say, I'm done. Right? It might be that, but I doubt it's going to be that. And we'll start with you. Sure. Melanie, and then I'll quickly do a quick pattern interrupt, and then we'll come to you. So, you first, Melanie. Yeah.
I might start off another tangent. We might be here all night. Watch out. That was a dangerous cue. I was reflecting on the way here, actually, on the pandemic, and I think there's no coincidence in the fact that the virus attacks our lungs when we've been attacking the lungs of the planet by poisoning the air and by cutting down the trees. We are nature, nature is us. That is the Dayak philosophy. There is no coincidence. We are a mirror. Nature is the mirror to us. And I think we do suffer from a wisdom in the West, and we overcomplicate things terribly. And we think we're very modern, but we are going so far from humanity and what it means to be fundamentally human. And I would just urge anybody like that, if you have the ability to hop on a flight and get to Borneo, do it. And go on David's trips. Go check out the togethernesssproject.com and Daisy's work, and go and visit Daisy and live with their family, and you'll remember what it means to be human. And once you remember, there's no going back. You'll find a way to dance in both worlds, and it is possible, but it's so important. It really it is of this time. Yeah, that's my nutshell.
Thank you. So now
you'll also have seriously good fun. It's so serious, the fun, but it is really good. Crack, which means fun, Oscoelga in my native tongue. No drugs, just fresh air. That's all we need.
Love it. So now, so this is the pattern interrupt, and then we'll come to you. So David Metcalf. Yeah. Now I think his website is just that, right? And where if you went to davidmetcalf.com, then we'll also put it on our page. But this is where you can also have access to the trips that he does into Borneo, and other parts of the world. Actually, he's actually a photographer by trade, if you want to call it that. And he's been doing these trips for many years. 10
years now. He's an Indigenous ambassador.
There you go.
I'm going on a trip with him to Sulawesi Island in 2 weeks' time to meet the Toraja tribe, who are fascinating too.
Great. Cool. Facebook page called Dayak Cultural Awareness Group.
I didn't know that.
Called Dayak Cultural Awareness Group. All right, we've got that one as well. So there's some references for everybody. Now I'll say something and then we'll finish. We'll end with you, darling. So for those of you watching now, so SpeakuP Monday. This I think is number 204 episode, something like that. So where this started was somewhere slightly different to where it's kind of come now, interestingly enough, but it's all to do with inbound tourism. It's all to do with being a tourism architect. What that means is that, there's a new dimension opening up to Bali and Indonesia, which is more culturally aware, sensitive, sustainable, and tech savvy. So this is, I'm not alone by any means. People like Itchy and new friends, right, and Jerome, we're facilitating this here to Bali and Indonesia. So part of what SpeakuP Monday has become is a way for you to see from the outside of what's happening inside, because modern media, let's call it that, doesn't always give you real stories, and the stories that you really do find here, which are inspiring, and that's what we do. So SpeakuP, one word, Monday. So SpeakuP Monday on Facebook, which is a Facebook group, SpeakuP Monday group on Facebook. That's one. SpeakuP Monday, all one word. Instagram is the other. So just jump onto there. And my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, as you can probably know by now, and website under the same name. And then tomorrow we have SpeakuP Monday Clubhouse, and that'll be an amazing woman called Jennifer J. But that's 8 a.m. So if you're aware, just come and join us for Clubhouse tomorrow. And before we finish with you, Dessy, I just want to thank you for saying yes. Right, I want to thank David for originally putting it up there in our imagination. So that's really cool. And I just want to thank you as well for opening up, part of our minds and our hearts here to see, a different side of life that perhaps many of us have forgotten. Right, this ability to connect, this ability to reconnect with nature, and by doing that, we reconnect with ourselves and the true nature of ourselves as well. So I just want to thank you very much, and to those of you watching, remember you can come watch this live in Tropical Nomad every Monday, 6:30. Come at 6, grab some food, then we go live at 6:30. As I mentioned, next week is Lana Reese, who is the founder and director of Pro Education. Fantastic woman. We're going to talk about the future of education and a whole bunch of other things. So feel free. Take a breath. So, Dessy, thank you, my darling, and over to you.
Thank you very much. It's really an honor to be here.
Yeah, so anything that you'd like to leave people with? Any words, maybe repeating maybe what you mentioned before, or maybe letting people know, like how they can contribute to you, the name of the website. That's also good.
Yeah. Okay. You can connect with us in our and visit our website in www.aruskualan, ARUSKUALAN.com. And it's the same also in our Instagram, Arus_Kualan. So you can follow us, and it's really welcome for all of the people also who want to like sharing, like visit our school, because we can actually learn from two sides. So our kids can learn from the people from outside, like the outside people also can learn. So it's not only like there is no like special like knowledge and like which one like the important things, like everything is really like important, and once again like balance is really important. And the one thing that I want to tell to the people is the way you treat the nature, it's gonna happen to you like the way nature will treat you. So because this is one of my campaign also, to tell to the people like, actually I am like people from the forest. I would say like this, because if I like go to the forest, I'm being wild. So that's why I want to tell to the people like, because now, let's say like Kalimantan increases, so I would like to tell to the like people, industry also, like we cannot say like industry is bad or good, but it's really good to see like another side of our life. Is the sustainable life, and if you want keep like survive in this world, you have to see like something that make you like survive like sustainable. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much.